I am back home after a very successful Wi-Fi conference in India. So this was my second time in the past 3 months. I had to travel to India for a Wi-Fi conference. Now this event organized by Candela Technologies. Even though they organize the event, they make sure it's a conference well represented by the wireless community. In fact, they didn't really have their uh, company speakers, like that way they didn't really promote themselves. They make it really well organized event that Wi-Fi enthusiasts come and join. So now I went there one day early. So in that way now on the Thursday, I had the opportunity to meet Srikanth. So he's, the organizer of Wi-Fi Knowledge Summit. So that is his hometown in Chennai. In that way, we were able to meet some of his friends in IIT Madras. So then we had lunch there. And then he organized another informal discussion at the Netgear office. Now here with myself and Susindra also joined, one of the speaker. So well-known speaker, well-known Wi-Fi professional in the community. Susindra's hometown also in Chennai. In that way, this is with the Netgear office. So we had some informal discussion with the Netgear staff about enterprise wireless, how AI shaping the Wi-Fi evolution. So it was an interesting discussion. So I'm glad, I was able to be there. So now the main conference was on Friday. So it's like, as I said, well represented by the industry. So a lot of individuals, academic and the industry itself came and presented interesting topics. Now here with Sita Rama, who's the CTO of Candela Technology, he's behind the success of this particular event. Not only him individually, every one of his organization contributed for the success of the event. Now here's the Susinder, he's also the main guest speaker of the event. Now event consists of a lot of wireless presentations, very interesting topics, I really learn a lot of things, from those speaker session. I encourage, once these sessions available in recording, go and please watch. I'm sure you can learn about Wi-Fi. Some of technical presentations are very deep. Some of talking about where Wi-Fi 8 and all this particular technology is heading. So you had a mix of presentations. So now during the conference, I presented about non-Wi-Fi interferences. This is one area typically when I do wireless consulting kind of work, I always, find something interesting on the customer's environment. In that way, without having the proper spectrum analysis, I would say you may be not aware of the full picture of Wi-Fi. So that way, I had the opportunity to present in a half an hour session non-Wi-Fi interferences. And a lot of other interesting talk. This is not the sort of entire list of people who presented, but I would encourage you to go and watch all these particular sessions and learn from those sessions. Now, after lunch, we had a panel discussions. Again, I'm lucky to, be part of that panel discussions. It's about, how do you build a Wi-Fi career not replaceable by AI. In that way, interesting viewpoints, again, once again, I would encourage you to watch these panel discussions if you couldn't join live sessions because all the sessions were streamed live on YouTube, but I'm sure depending on where you are, you may not able to watch it online live because of the time zone differences. So now, like many other time, I always felt great welcome, by most of the engineers, who I would say, 90% of them came and thanked me for, created my blog and inspiring learning. So most of them started their career in Wi-Fi, and starting point was my blog. In that way, I was very grateful, people come and appreciate. I felt like, I have done some good work for the community. In that way, I always feel, that feeling when I go to India, because I always, see some people who couldn't come out of India and go for these conferences and meet in person. So I always take time and effort to go there, and then, encourage them further. So in this time, no difference. I met a lot of great people. Some of them I have already met couple of time. In that way, I always, try to nurture those relationships. That's what one thing I would say. If you have to do, again, those kind of things. Sometime those kind of skills you build, relationship you build, is very important in a Wi-Fi career, because those kind of skills sometimes you will not able to get from AI. So this is some human touch. You have to basically, we all like that kind of human touch. In that way, you need to make sure, if you really want to, build long-lasting relationships, take time and effort, and then, try to basically build those relationships throughout this kind of event. Now here's, few more other pictures. Tarun I have met couple of times. Vijaya from Arista, she did a very good presentation on Wi-Fi 7 security. I really enjoyed those presentations. Now this is some moments with Sita Rama's family. I think, one thing, he has done very well is basically giving opportunities for young people, in this time as well. He showcased, sometime people having no technology exposure beforehand, but he gave some opportunity to someone come and gets experience in his office. And then, his son basically also 16 years old, became an intern within his organization, and then quickly, able to, provide value. So even though, they may not have that great experience in Wi-Fi world, but with the right tools, they were able to, pick certain technologies, quick time. And then, sometimes this is, what I feel, he always give opportunities without fear, for the young generation. And then they came and, excel on those particular area that getting responsibilities. So in that way now, towards end of the conference, we got opportunity to, thank every one of the Candela who's behind the success of this particular event. This is, him and his team. Most of engineers are very young, but they have the sort of a confidence and, delivery presentations. I have seen them many other occasions, so I can see them grow very fast. In that way, this is the entire team, who behind the success of this particular event. Even though they didn't really present it because, they wanted to, this conference does not become their own showcase. They just basically get the community together and creating this event, more regularly. So now, after the conference, I had the opportunity to, go and meet, Srikanth family. I have met Srikanth very many times in the past, but this is the first time I met their family because this was their hometown. In that way, his basically presence there and basically making some plan around, so make my visit is much more memorable. In that way, I thank him very much, taking care of all this particular busy, city traffic, traveling me, providing me the transport, and all this kind of thing. In that way, if I look back, like now, yes, it's a good sort of technical conferences, but I felt I have had some quality time with the people I like to work with. In that way, it's another great experience for me. And then if you haven't really be in this kind of conferences, if you are in India, I'm sure, like we had some conference in Bangalore, and then this is in Chennai, and then where the Candela Technologies headquarters in Vishakhapatnam, like in that way, those three cities, I'm sure if you are close by, I would encourage you to attend these kind of conferences and grow your networking, and share your experiences. That's the one ask from Sitaram as well, like please come and share. So because now we know Wi-Fi is a evolving technology, but we don't have much opportunities to meet and know each other in the Asia Pacific range. In that way, I would encourage, like if you are around probably in future, look for this kind of event and come and join and learn. And if you have some interesting ideas or project you are working on, please come and share. So that way, until I see you again, take